The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your host, Nicole Hutchison.
Cowboys. No, I'm just kidding. Hello, Cowboys Nation. Welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Jazz Monet and Bonnie Jill Laughlin. For those watching and listening, I only did that because our producer just thought that she knew my intro on point. I don't know.
You had to change it up.
I had to change it up a little bit.
Hello,
Hello, guys. How are y'all?
I feel like the best media personalities have, like their standard,
in
and out.
Like what if one day Johnny Carson was like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. Here's Johnny today.
I'm crying. I am hollering. Ladies, how y'all feeling today? Good day?
Good.
It's been a good day.
I'm excited. It's just, we want to see week 2. I feel like that's really going to show what this team's all about, right?
Sure.
These weeks feel so long and short at the same time.
Yes.
Like, it's gone by fast, but we've talked about the Saints so much, and I'm like, okay, let's see the game.
Let's get to the game.
Let's get to it. Let's get to this practice report first. Today is Thursday, of course. So, obviously, one of the hard practices of the week for the Cowboys. And just looking at the practice report, pretty much everyone was a full participant except Jake Ferguson, who is expected with a knee, so he did not participate.
He had
today.
that brace on.
He had a brace on in practice. C.J. Goodwin was limited, and Marshawn Nealon was limited. But Mike McCarthy did mention today that it's nothing too serious, so they're not expecting it to be anything major. And then John Stevens, who did not participate as well. We'll go through the New Orleans Saints injury report in a few. But Jazz, we got just a few minutes with you from locker room. What's your takeaways from locker room?
Today I got to talk to a few guys in the locker room, basically just to get, I hadn't really talked. There weren't a lot of people in there yesterday, so there were a few people I hadn't talked to since they played week 1. So I kind of did a rewind to figure out how they felt about that, and also what they were looking forward to going into week 2. And one of the things that I noticed is there's a healthy level of respect for the Saints. A few people have referred to this as a possible trap game, but I didn't get that sense from this team at all. They don't sound nervous, of course, but it doesn't sound like they're underestimating the Saints at all. They seem to have a really good grasp on what challenges they might face from this team and what they need to do differently. So I talked to CeeDee Lamb, and I was just like, hey, what's something that you'd like to see happen differently, or what's something that you'd like to see done better on the offensive side of the ball? And he just said, generally speaking, he wants to finish stronger. Like a lot of fans, he was not satisfied with what they did in the second half of that game. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, now that it's week 2, we've had a little bit more time to get back on track. He wants to see them have a much better finish this week. And I'm like, yeah, that'll make a lot of fans happy, I talked to Osa Odighizuwa about the defensive side of the ball. He talked about his personal performance, and he said that he actually wants to improve his execution. And I was like, did you feel like you didn't do well? And he's like, no, I felt like I did well, but, it wasn't perfect. There are things I could do better. So, he talked about just getting a little bit more comfortable with his assignments and executing those things better. So, props to him, because I haven't heard a lot of criticism about Osa Odighizuwa. So for him to be like, yeah, no, there's room for me to improve. I thought that just showed what kind of competitor he is. I'm really not surprised by that, honestly, but, props to him for saying it out loud. And then, no, for real, a lot of people wouldn't. And speaking of saying things out loud, I got to talk to Tyler Guyton. And I kind of called him out yesterday, and I told him I did, but
What did you say? I missed it.
Yesterday, one of the questions was, what do we want to see improved on the offense? And Jess said growth, and I didn't know what to say, so I was like, yeah, I just want to see Tyler Guyton do better. And so I told him that. But there were a few members of the media around who were talking to him, and I think it was actually Kyle Humans who asked him how he felt about his performance in week 1, which is something that I was going to ask also. And, he was like, how do you think you did? And he said, I think I did poorly. And, when some of the microphones and cameras went away, I was just like, well, you didn't do terrible. And he said that as well. He said he didn't do terrible. And on paper, he did really well. But, he admitted as he was talking to all of us that he just felt like there were things that he could improve in terms of his own execution, his body positioning, and things of that nature. So I think we can look forward to seeing like a team that's even more focused. They're definitely not overlooking this game. They're definitely not resting on their laurels when it comes to the win from week 1. Pretty much everybody I've heard from or talked to has mentioned something that they're like, hey, like from talking to them, you would think that they did not blow out a team last week, because they're like, I want to improve this, that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they put on the field in week 2.
And it speaks volumes, because that's something that I mentioned early on the show this week, was that Eric Kendrick said the same thing, is that they are not satisfied with what they put on tape, which is kind of crazy, because y'all just blew out a team, you know, an AFC team that actually made the playoffs last year.
Oh,
so,
Eric Kendricks was actually one other person I talked to.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No,
I know
you're
it's
good.
supposed to be a few minutes.
Go ahead. Go ahead, girl. You got it. Take it away.
Several minutes now. So Micah Parsons said a few things about the importance of his communication and what he's bringing to the defensive side of the ball in terms of football IQ. Trayvon Diggs mentioned a few points along those same lines. So I just asked him, I was like, hey, when you found out you were coming to the Cowboys, did you expect to have this level of impact? Because I think from the outside looking in, a lot of people looked at having a player like Eric Kendricks as something that, like, okay, a lot of teams have this kind of player, and the Cowboys for some reason don't. And so, like, you would think if that were the case, that Eric Kendricks would come over to the Cowboys and just be like, yeah, I'm going to just play my typical role. But I asked him if he expected to make that kind of impact, if he kind of saw that coming, and he was like, well, yeah, that's why I'm here. So, and he even said that he feels like he makes that kind of impact on every team that he's been on. So he has a really good awareness of what he brings to the table in terms of IQ, in terms of communication, and in terms of kind of navigating or helping the guys around him navigate what they're supposed to do. But also, you know, I asked him, okay, so how do you feel about what everybody's saying about Kubiak and, you know, his style kind of being on that Shanahan tree? And, you know, does that change how you feel about the game or how you plan on doing anything? And, like, just with the straightest face, he was just like, nah. Like, I felt kind of weird, because I'm so used to seeing interviews where he smiles a lot, and I'm just like, do you hate my questions, or you just but no, he didn't seem nervous at all. You know, he just kind of acknowledged that, like, yeah, my role is important. It's week 2. One of the things he said was that it's week 2, so regardless of who they're faced, they're probably going to see some unscouted looks, some new things, some surprises thrown their way. So he was just like, at the end of the day, my job is pretty much the same. Paraphrasing there, but that's,
you know what I love
what
too, that Nicole, when we talked about on Tuesday, Jazz, was that all the guys are not complacent. They're all wanting to step their game up even more. And when you see a team like that did so well in game 1 and they're still not satisfied, I love that. You want to stay hungry. And like Kendrick said, he said, you know what, we're focused. We did really well game 1, but we're going to stay humble too, and know that every game's a new challenge. And like you said, it could be a trap game. You could go in with all this confidence, first home opener, all that good stuff, and to go in there and still know that this is a challenge. And we don't really know much from week 1. You know, I think the week 2 is really going to show what these teams are, especially seeing their opponents.
It's funny that you said that, because it was funny when Mike McCarthy, he was asked about, you know, the challenge that the Saints bring, and he was like, I don't know if we're calculating going off 1 week stats, right? And so, which is because it's still early. Teams are still getting a chance of finding their identity, right? And you don't really necessarily know the things that teams do until like week 4 and week 5. So,
and did you see what Troy Aikman said? Troy said that the touchdowns, and if you look at all the different passing yards, everything is lower than last season for week 1. So he said he thinks a lot of teams are figuring out, or is it because certain players weren't playing as much in preseason? There's all these different, you know, tangibles that they're wondering, why is it lower? So I thought that was pretty interesting.
There's so many variables, and I think going along with what both of y'all are saying about it being week 1, like, we can look at what the Saints did last week against the Panthers, but we're not the Panthers. So,
but it's the Panthers.
So yeah, we don't know if they're going to even approach us with the same game plan, and if they do, what kind of adjustments are they going to make? Because like, this is a type of coordinator where we can expect them to make adjustments. And they've got plenty of weapons capable of not only moving where they line up, but what they do. You know, Taysom Hill is a Swiss Army knife.
He does everything.
He can do everything. Alvin Kamara, you know, he's been, you know, lining up in various places. He's been running the ball. He's been taking passes.
Rashid Shaheed, their young wide receiver duo is special as well. So
they got a little more weapons, I think, than
you think so?
Yeah, they've got more weapons than I think. I think we're gonna be surprised, but.
All right.
Well, then the Browns. I guess because we didn't see much.
More weapons than the
Yeah,
weapons in the Browns is what you're saying?
Well, right, if you look at three of them, if you look at Kamara and Hill,
Yeah.
I just think that they can do a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then like you factor in the fact that like Olave didn't even do that much in week one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, we can account for what we've seen, but then they might use him in a different way. I am not mad at anybody who says that the Saints have more weapons than the Browns had, especially when you factor in how each player can be used. Yeah, there's an argument to be made for that.
A lot of the players were saying they were actually feel like Hill. He's so much more physical, and that even though he's playing more running back than the slot, that they're saying that they're a little bit nervous about him.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
They're not sure what to know. What is going to be out there? How they're going to line him up? So.
Absolutely, and they're not only physical when they have the ball, but they're physical whenever they're blocking. Like they just from listening to their sound. And I'm sorry, I know we're going.
No, you're good.
We're not even on topic now.
I promise you, you're fine.
But just from listening to their sound, you can tell that they are coming in with the mindset where we might not know what they're going to do in terms of formation or in terms of running the ball, passing the ball, whatever. But one thing that we know for sure is that they want to be physical. They want this to be a physical game, and regardless of what play they run, if you watch their film, there are moments that they're physical in everything that they do on every snap. Like whether it's their blockers who are blocking for somebody else, Alvin Kamara, that's why he's so hard to get down. Like almost 50% of his yards in week one were yards after the carry. But that's because you can hit him, but if you don't take him all the way to the ground, he will just keep going because they are physical. So it's him, it's Taysom Hill, it's their tight ends, it's who was that other kid? Hold on.
Jamal Williams?
No. Well, Jamal Williams too, but like he ends up getting a lot of short yardage. I told y'all my notes was disorganized.
No, you're fine. You're good.
Foster Moreau and Prentice, the fullback.
The fullback. Yeah, they do use him too.
Yeah, they use them to block all the time, and they'll be in motion and then start blocking. So they already have momentum.
That's because their offenses, these Shanahan offenses, are built off the success of their run games and how they use their running backs. So I think this is the challenge that you want to see the Cowboys face, especially earlier on in the season, like a week 2. But when you talk about the success that the defense had last week.
It seems like a year, right? For Nicole, she's wearing so many hats.
In order for them to repeat that success, what will be the key?
For the defense to repeat their success?
Well, pressure, number one. Yes. Pressure, because if you think about look at Carr, he's not a mobile quarterback. He's going to stay in that pocket. So if they can add pressure, I think we got him, And then also, we've talked about this many times, but limiting the penalties. I know that's not really a defense offense, but that's a whole. And then, it's, stopping explosive plays is something else that I was thinking of, that they did a pretty good job, obviously, against Cleveland, but there wasn't a lot of action, down the field. So that's what, I think it's 3 things that I'm looking at.
Yeah, and in order to stop those explosive plays, for one thing, they're going to have to make Derek Carr very uncomfortable.
Yep.
The Panthers did not do a very good job of that
at all. They did not.
And, Derek Carr, I won't say that he's more of a pocket passer. He can kind of move around a little bit, but you can tell where he's comfortable. And it just felt like they didn't really do a good job at all of making him uncomfortable, disrupting his timing. But Derek Carr in his own interview said he acknowledged himself, the Cowboys' ability to disrupt the pocket. So you can tell that's something that's on his mind. Some other
he should
things,
be nervous.
Yeah, he might be. That's one thing that I've started noticing about players. They'll never say I'm nervous, but when you start hearing them bring up something in detail, okay, you've been thinking about that for a reason. So he's thinking about what they might do to him. Well, yes,
having nightmares.
He's
nightmares of Micah, not good dreams.
He's like, they're so good at disrupting the pocket. Media interpretation, I'm nervous about.
Yes.
So
fearing for his life.
So that's one thing. Trayvon Diggs mentioned offenses like Kubiak's being annoying. Mm-hmm. And I think part of the reason for that is because of how well so many things are disguised. So here's one thing that was significant. About 61% of their snaps in week 1 were from under center. So it's if you look around the league, especially with how quickly a lot of these quarterbacks are coming from college and then just becoming starters, right? You're seeing a lot of shotgun, right? Mm-hmm. But Derek Carr, he was doing a lot of snaps from under center. So what does that mean? 1, they can conceal the ball. So 2, that helps them disguise the plays that they're running. They also ran a lot of play action, and something else that people don't think about a lot, or at least they don't talk about a lot whenever teams are running a lot of plays from under center, is how that allows them to elongate the play. And so you can open up the route tree, you can elongate the plays that way. And so what that means is that we might be dealing with the battle not only in terms of what the defense sees and then making sure that they're responding to the right things, but also just a time of possession battle. Now, the Saints tended to get the ball out pretty quickly, so maybe that won't be as much of an issue as it seems like it could be on paper, knowing that they do snap the ball from under center so much. But I really do think that them staying focused and continuing their communication is going to be absolutely key, especially with it being that they're going to have to stop the run in order to see success. Alvin Kamara, he likes to get to the outside, and because of how they do their motion, he's really successful at it. They run motion on top of motion, so they'll do motion, and usually that first person in motion is usually blocking, and then Alvin Kamara runs behind him. And so what does that do? That usually opens up something. Usually it opens up something to where they end up passing the ball. And if it doesn't open up something, well, you've got a blocker and a runner that already have momentum. And so you saw them like really beat up the Panthers with that last week. So yeah, I think our defense, one, they're going to have to stay away from the hero ball tendencies that they had last year. Yes, last year. Last week, they were not a problem. And even Micah Parsons acknowledged that they're doing a lot better working together. So hopefully they'll continue that. They're going to have to continue with their communication, make sure they stick to their assignments. Don't get confused. Don't get distracted by what might be going on. Yes, there's a lot to consider, but at the end of the day, that ball's got to go one way. And if the sooner that they focus in on that and handle it, the better off they'll be. So,
and it's funny because the Saints, they said the biggest problem they had going into the season was their offense. And with Kubiak, it's actually lit a fire under them, and that it's going to be basically a chess match. And if you ask a lot of the players, they all use that terminology, a chess match, with Zimmer's defense and Kubiak's offense.
Oh, absolutely.
And how strategic that's going to be. Yeah. So that's very interesting to watch in this game.
Do y'all think if the Cowboys can ultimately make Derek Carr uncomfortable, because he's getting the ball out in 2.58 seconds. That's what he's averaging. That's with Alvin Kamara on the field. But without him on the field, he's averaging 3.21. So he's got a little bit more time to make decisions. But do y'all think that'll ultimately be that X factor of how the Cowboys win?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because so on paper it looks like he had a little bit more time, or he took a little bit more time, but it's just they gave him that more time.
Facts.
He needs that much more time when he doesn't have Alvin Kamara on the field, right? And just with the speed of our defense and how good they are at getting to the quarterback, they're going to speed up his clock. Absolutely. And so one of two things is going to happen with Derek Carr once that starts to happen. Either he's going to throw an interception or he's going to check down and he won't be able to have these long passes.
Throws,
these long vertical throws down the field, which is how they scored a couple of times last week.
And
right?
if you look at him, he almost had a perfect game. We're talking about David Carr. So, I mean, you can tell already that he's not going to be used to this type of defense because it's so different with Carolina. So if you look at that already kind of shows.
Yeah, so I think they'll either limit their production or they're going to take that ball away. And you know how our defense loves to take that ball away.
Oh, yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. The one thing that impressed me the most is how they're constantly able to move the chains. Again, they played the Panthers, so I get
That's
it.
why you have to put that in perspective,
I get it.
right?
It's like you have to be like,
that's why it's so
did
hard.
Did they really get a test?
Yes.
No,
No, not at all. That's
but
a
also
bad
neither
team.
did our defense.
Neither did us.
All right.
Well, because all those
Good point there.
There's so many holes in that O line, with the Browns. So that's the only reason I.
No point.
But I mean, you're right. That's why a lot of people look at that game. And
That's why I feel
well,
like this is week one. Do you know what I mean by that when I say that? It's almost like this is where I'm really going to see. This.
Yeah.
It's a big test for our defense and for their offense.
For sure. No, one of the stats that I looked and found was so Derek Carr and Dak Prescott both rank in the top 6 of vertical throws, vertical touchdown passes. And I think that's actually pretty interesting. But do y'all think that, I know, right? It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. That's that.
What do you feel the Saints will try, or what way do you feel the Saints will try to attack Zimmer's defense?
The run game.
Yeah.
Aside from the run game.
Aside from the run game.
What other ways?
They'll play action pass, I think, too, because that's what they do with, that's Shanahan's, that offense, that West Coast offense, Bill Walsh offense, that's what they do. And they try to confuse the defense because it's such a hard offense to learn that's even harder for them, a defense to read.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say
Yeah.
that the play action was something that they used a lot. With them being under center so much, it's even easier for them to disguise. So I feel like that's what they're gonna end up using. It's gonna be a combination of those two things, which sounds really simple, but like I think that's what they're gonna end up doing. That and just probably using different pieces in different ways. I think we might see a more of a variety of usage for players like Kamara and Taysom Hill than what we saw from them in week 1.
Yeah.
Just because I think they might consider it to be a necessary move against a defense like this.
I think they actually might play Taysom Hill in the slot a little bit more.
More than they have, because he's been more like a running back.
But and last year he was aligned on 148 snaps in the slot. That's more than double any other season of his career. So I'm interested to see how he kind of matches up with Jordan Lewis. That'll be really interesting.
And I asked him, I actually talked to him during practice, during locker room, and he literally said, he goes, he didn't want to say that he was nervous. He just said it is going to be a challenge because of how physical he is. He goes, and we don't know if he's going to be, he's going to come my way or not. So I got to be ready. And he said, it's the unknown is what he said a couple times. So.
There are a lot of unknowns with this offense in general. And Taysom, like for real, Taysom Hill is definitely one of them. Yeah. But that's one of the things that makes it hard to talk about, and I'm sure hard to prepare for it, because it's like you can think like, okay, this is going to be the matchup, but it might end up being something totally different.
And it seems like Zimmer. It seems like he's got some secret sauce he's going to come up with.
Yeah, they both have secret sauce.
Yeah. Right? Our secret sauce is better though, right, Jazz?
I think so.
I think so.
Do y'all think we'll see a little bit more dime packages facing the Saints, or you think that Zimmer could keep it a little bit more nickel? Because like week 1, they didn't play a single snap of dime. 89% of their plays were nickel. Obviously, it's a different matchup game, but...
And I was looking at, if they do the 21 personnel, which is the 2 backs and the tight end, then they would actually use more of the dime. But it looks like, from what they do, their scheme, it would be more of more nickel.
I think that's going to be another one of those.
But again, unknown. But again, I'm just speculating.
Because, we can see how it could be useful, but like you said, they didn't do it last week, so I have no reason to believe.
And no one's going to tell us what's going on, right?
Right.
So can you tell us can you give me your playbook?
How hard we try.
Hey, just asking the questions here. All right, we're going to take our first break. You're watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll be breaking down more of this matchup coming up right after the break.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
All right, right, the Mex Tour is back. Head to AT&T Stadium on Tuesday, September 10th for a showdown between the Mexican and Canadian men's national teams. Don't miss another exciting soccer match in Arlington. Tickets are on sale now at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium training camp in Frisco. That is it.
Well, we got a showdown on Sunday at noon. Kickoff.
We do. Early
on
kick.
Fox between the Saints and the Cowboys.
Yes.
This offensive line from the Saints. What's y'all's thoughts?
I mean, it was incredible in the run game, but that's the Panthers. Just versus, it's like it's so. I mean, I'm just thinking game one, but
they did a good job of keeping Derek Carr clean, but it's like when you actually watch it, it's just.
I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm trying to think of the most respectful way to say it, but it's just
it's so hard to say because it's just when you say Carolina, they're just a really bad team.
I'm gonna put it this way:
they are a bad team, Nicole.
Sorry. When I watched what they did to keep Derek Carr clean, it took me from thinking, oh, they're such a good O-line to like, oh well, they haven't been tested. Like keeping Derek Carr clean was not as difficult of a job as you might have expected. And so, yes, of course they did. Had they not, I would have been like, who showed up? Like,
yeah. I think in looking at the Saints injury report, their left tackle, starting left tackle, I'm sorry, Fuega.
Talise
Fuega.
I think I said Fuega last time, but I think it's
Fuaga. Did not
Yes.
participate today in practice. So what kind of an impact could that make? I mean, he's going up against a Micah Parsons or maybe a D-Law. So obviously the Cowboys have the advantage there. But, I mean, do y'all think that's changes things at all? No?
I don't think it'll change anything that they have planned because, like, Micah's going to move around anyway, or at least that's what's been reported, that he's going to move around. So I just don't see that. Like, yes, it'll be impactful because Fuaga is obviously good at what he does. So it won't be exactly the same, but I don't think it's such a big impact that it'll change what the Cowboys have planned or how they'll approach this offense.
What other favorable matchups could you see Zimmer choosing to exploit using Micah?
The other side of the line. no, for real. I know it sounds. But like on the other side, you have.
Nicole's like, okay, well.
You have Caesar and Ruiz, right?
Yeah.
So I could see Micah being moved over there and be like, okay, take it to these guys a little bit because they noticeably did not have much of a challenge in week one. So it's like, okay, let's see what y'all are made of. Historically, not much, but let's see how y'all handle one of the best in the league. So
exactly.
What more do y'all want to see from Micah this week?
What more?
Yeah. And he wasn't,
and it could be nothing at all. I'm just.
But remember, he even said he wasn't satisfied with his play. He said he wasn't even close to where he wanted to be. But I mean, I thought he had a great game, but again, it was against Cleveland. But he was all over the ball. I mean, everywhere he was just so active around the field. I mean, I thought he played great. But
well, he did mention that they have some new packages that they're gonna put in place that are designed for him to get chipped less. And so I'm not sure what that's going to look like. I'm very intrigued just by hearing that because of who Micah is and where he usually is. It's like if they want to chip you, they're going to chip you. Yeah. So I'm like, what on earth does Zimmer have up his sleeve that's like, yeah, this is going to ensure you don't get hit so much? I'm just kind of like, what? So I can't say that I necessarily expect more from Micah or that there's something that I'm like, I wish he would have done this. I was very satisfied with his performance. I can see him probably looking back and being like, oh, had I done this instead of that, I could have gotten that sack or whatever. I could see him being that kind of player. Yeah. But I'm really just more so curious about, okay, what are these packages going to look like? And if Micah is getting chipped less, because like, let's be real, we watched the footage. It seems like he wasn't fazed. For sure, but there's no way that you get hit that much over the span of 3 hours and it doesn't faze you at all, So if they are able to pull that off, I'd like to see how that affects his play. Like, do we actually see a Micah that has even more energy and doesn't feel as beat up going into the last half of the game? And what does that mean for how he can be used and what he might get done? So,
what do you think, Nicole?
I think him facing double teams and getting chipped hasn't fazed him at all because even last year he's one of the most double team guys in the league. So, I mean, that's something that it'll be interesting to see the way that they, the different packages that they use in order to prevent that. But I mean, regardless, I mean, if they send, I don't know, a tight end and a running back to go over there and help, with protection on Micah, then I don't think that's still going to be a problem for him. But when y'all talk about the concerns heading into, and there may not be any concerns at all from y'all two, but if there are concerns, what are they heading into Sunday?
The concerns that I have in terms of their offense versus the Cowboys defense, I would say is just, okay, what are they going to do in terms of how they disguise things, and how might the physicality of this offense impact the team a little bit differently? Now, I think we have some really fast guys who can definitely make a difference in terms of covering some of the players they have, and also handling some of the plays that they might try to run. Yeah. So it's not that I'm expecting them to fail, but if I do have any concerns, that's it. Just that they can disguise so many things, being under center, and we haven't seen the defense face that kind of challenge yet.
I think it's because of this West Coast offense. If you look statistically, the Cowboys do struggle and do have problems with that offense. So, that's something I'm looking out for, because they have had so many struggles with that. And so hopefully Zimmer, obviously he's a step up from Quinn. Quinn definitely had problems with that. And I think that Zimmer has a better handle on that. So that's something that's going to be improved.
What kind of test will this be for the cornerback room?
For the cornerback room?
Well, they didn't see a lot of action in Cleveland. I mean, I'm being honest, right? Yeah. I mean, Carson did great. Obviously, Diggs had that pick, but Carson even said, he goes, I was kind of out there on that island. He goes, by myself when I talked to him. He said, he goes, I'm hoping now I learned from that. He said there was a lot of communication. He said Diggs really helped him out. He thinks that, hopefully he'll feel a little more like a real, he said, I didn't really feel like I really got what I wanted out of the first game. I really wanted to be tested more. So I think he's going to get his test, right?
Trayvon Diggs in week 1, he allowed 6 receptions for just 23 yards. Obviously got an interception. That was across 10 targets. And Kalen Carson faced 11 targets. As the nearest defender in week 1, he tied for the most of any cornerback league-wide, allowed 5 receptions for 44 yards, and of course held Amari to just 2 receptions.
Yeah.
Impressive.
I think the biggest challenge for them is just going to be making sure that they're in the right place at the right time. One thing that I don't want to see happen is, let's say things do start to get confusing.
They get lost.
Yeah, I don't want them to get lost. I also don't want them to get frustrated and start doing things that, might distract other players.
Especially for a rookie.
Right, exactly. So no matter what happens, I just think it'll be important for them to stay focused, have really short memories, and just be like, okay, I'm going to stick to what the assignment is and focus on that. So I just don't want to see them get frazzled or get frustrated if they do miss anything. But hopefully they're able to focus and handle their assignments properly. Not get tripped up.
Their assignments will include Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, one of the top wide receivers from last year. When you talk about a guy like Rashid Shaheed, what stands out the most?
Well, it seems like Shaheed, if you look at the numbers, he's more of a threat than Ove, if you look at that. I mean, I've been looking just at numbers right now.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. The first thing I thought of was the numbers, but I'm definitely one of those people who I'm like, okay, but is that because of his capability or just how they decided to use him? It's another one of those things that might remain a question because, like we said earlier, it was just week 1. So are the numbers a result of how they felt it was appropriate to use these 2 guys against the Panthers, or is it more reflective of what they intend to do moving forward? So it does seem that he has the capability of taking on more of the load and whatnot. But I personally would like to see what they end up doing differently with Olave. I really think that's going to be one of the things that ends up being a big difference maker in terms of what they did in week 1 versus week 2.
These 2, I say speed stands out the most. Those
Absolutely.
2 guys ranked top 6 in number of routes that have reached 20 plus miles per hour.
Madness.
That's a good stat.
Disgusting. Don't want to see it.
That's a good stat.
No, but what's the importance of when you talk about, I think that was you that mentioned, Jazz, about yards after catch. Rashid Shaheed averages about 11. Alvin Kamara, about 8.6. Jamal Williams, the running back, 9. The importance of wrapping up
and
tackle
Jordan
plays.
Mims too, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you have guys that are obviously getting yards at the catch. So what's the importance of, and how important is it for them to wrap up tackling? Because that was something that they really struggled with in week 1.
I mean, you just said it. When you got guys getting 8 to 11 yards after the catch, and Alvin Kamara getting so many yards after contact.
Yeah.
If they can actually get to these guys quickly, wrap them up, and take them to the ground, I mean, you're talking about like 11 yards. That's a whole nother first down. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it'll make them have to make different decisions sooner. So like how we talked about making Derek Carr uncomfortable in hopes that he would end up checking down and have less production. If they're able to effectively tackle these guys and get them to the ground, you're essentially doing that to their entire offense. Mm-hmm. And so you minimize their chance at converting, you minimize their chance at getting into the red zone. I mean, it would make a huge difference. And then let's also talk about what that might do to them in terms of their mental state. Because when guys are not able to, and by guys, I mean athletes, not like men have a problem.
We get it.
But a lot of times when athletes aren't able to execute and perform the way that they're used to performing, sometimes it gets to them. So, that might affect them on several levels if they're able to do that effectively. But they're going to have to fight through a lot of contact because it's not like people just can't bring them to the ground because they're so fast. Like these dudes are hitting back. Like they're coming at you hard, prepared for the contact. So that's going to be the thing.
Yeah, and we spoke about that on Tuesday about the wrapping up tackling. That was a problem. So hopefully, you would think now that we're going to be working on that a lot this week. It's a whole different team that they need to be prepared for.
It better be. Who poses the biggest threat? Yes.
The biggest threat out of everybody.
All the offensive, offensive
Cowboys
targets?
defense, Saints offense. From the Saints offense, who posed the biggest threat?
I think Hill, because we don't know.
Let's go by position room. Sorry. Let's go with running backs first.
In terms of running backs, I would say Alvin Kamara for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of that has to do with how they choose to use him and who they put in front of him. Like when he gets those blockers in front of him and then he comes behind them with his own momentum and ready to hit, it's like that's how he gets a lot of those yards. And then he's so good at getting out to the edge. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of times when you see guys do that, they end up in short yardage situation because so much of their energy is expended going to the outside and then they run up and they get like 2 or 3 yards. But this guy can get to the outside and then just take off from there and keep going. So
because it's definitely, I think it's gonna be centered around the run game for the Saints. I think they're gonna do a lot. I mean, obviously, don't you think they're gonna try to keep it on the ground?
At first, at least.
Yeah.
I think our defense might surprise us in terms of what they'll do to suffocate this run game.
Interesting. All right, wide receivers.
We just talked about that a little bit. Yeah, I mean,
who poses the biggest threat?
I'm gonna just go by the numbers. And
that's to say numbers. That's what I said. Just numbers.
Part of me wants to say like Olave is gonna be sneaky good, but like that feels like a prediction, and I hate predictions. So
I'm crying.
What do you think?
I think I'm gonna go with Shaheed. His route running is honestly what stands out to me on tape, and like I already mentioned, the speed.
Both of them the speed.
Yeah, and I think they line him up pretty much everywhere. So depending on where they line him up and who he's kind of matching up against, I'd love to see that matchup with him and Kalen Carson and how he kind of contains him. That'd be a fun one to watch. What you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, we
I think we all agree in here.
And I think Carson's ready for that challenge. He wants to take it to the next level. And he said he's so excited to be a rookie playing with the star in his helmet and that he's got family coming in town. And, and they're going to protect home field, right? I think it's going to be, I think they're going to step it up.
CD actually mentioned that, how excited he was to play at home. He talked about making Cowboys Nations proud.
Have a win streak at home during the regular season.
Isn't that sweet?
So sweet. We're now 16-1 dating back to 2022 at home in AT&T Stadium, but we've got to take our second break. We're wrapping up the show with our little predictions coming up right after the break. Let's go. Predictions.
You don't like predictions?
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby. The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Fan of the Year. Are you the 2024 Dallas Cowboys Fan of the Year? Well, the Dallas Cowboys and Captain Morgan are celebrating extraordinary, inspiring, and original fans. Nominate yourself. We nominate these ladies. Or the biggest Cowboys fans you know for a chance to be named the 2024 Fan of the Year and win prizes, including a trip to the Super Bowl. Visit DallasCowboys.com/Fan of the Year. How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys? I have a little. Oh my goodness! Quick game. It's all right. Today's Thursday. All right, I'm gonna call it Cowboys in the Kitchen.
Cowboys in the kitchen.
Cooking, eating.
But you said
they're gonna eat a lot.
So that
Yeah,
sounds not as fun
but
as
it's like-
Cowboys in the kitchen, bro.
Because y'all gotta cook up some hot takes.
Oh, she spun this on us.
I know.
On us,
You're
Jazz.
welcome. All right. So basically, gonna throw out a name. I need a
Okay.
hot take from Sunday.
Okay.
These are going to be
Game.
the most outrageous.
Here we
thing you've ever
go.
heard from me.
Game on. All right, Kalen Carson.
2 picks and a 6-pick. 6-pick.
Pick six?
Pick six.
Sorry,
Yeah.
pick 6.
All right.
2 pick sixes.
You got 2 pick sixes?
Oh, this is insane.
I'm just trying to go bold, right? So I was like, all right, 2 picks.
Oh,
pick
wow.
6, the whole thing, yeah.
This is, wow, this took a turn. Okay. All right, Eric Kendricks.
He's going to have a big game.
2 PBUs and
Ooh.
Okay.
a sack.
Okay. I could actually see the PBUs, not going to lie. The way he is in coverage.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. What you think?
Let's say 3 big sacks.
Okay.
I'm just doing big. I don't know. Bold.
We blitz it. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
blitz it, yes.
Let's do it.
Linebacker blitz. Let's see.
Make Derek Carr uncomfortable. That's
Yes,
what
we
we said.
said we have to.
Maris Liufau.
Oh.
He's going to play double the amount of snaps that he played last week.
I like that. Because I think he only played like 9.
Nine.
You played 9?
There we go.
I don't know. Nicole, what do you think? You got to help me on that one.
I'm going to say I could see Maris being the leading tackler this game.
I like it.
Oh, that's a good one.
I want that for him.
That's
I
a
want
good
that
one.
for him too. I think. What you think? What
I
you got?
like that.
Okay.
Lean tackler, yeah.
Let's go with Micah. He had 9 pressures week 1.
Yeah.
Sack.
I'm trying to think of something to say about Micah
And I
that
want
sounds
something
outrageous.
that's something
but
that he wants. He's saying he wants to improve, but what?
I'm gonna go with 12 pressures,
That's a good. Or 13, 12,
Yeah.
13.
2 PBUs, and 2 sacks. Let me write that down because I think I might be right, actually. 12 QB
That's what I was thinking. I
pressures.
was trying to come up with something that just sounded crazy, but I was just like, no,
That's what I'm trying to think
I
is-
think
yeah.
he could actually do it, though.
I think he could actually do that. What you think?
Especially because he wants to keep improving, and he's on that campaign for Defensive Player of the Year. So I like that take.
Micah is going to line up literally everywhere. And, and he's going to get 4 sacks.
4 sacks. We love it.
Then I'll go 5 sacks.
Let's go. All
Derek Carr
right.
is going to be very uncomfortable.
We're going crazy. What about DeMarvion Overshown?
I was impressed with his week 1. He had a great game.
The way he covers the field, man. I don't know. I could see
He's
him.
going to shut down Kamara.
Absolutely.
Shut down Kamara to what? How many yards?
He's going to limit his yards after contact. So, like, last week, Kamara got, like, 50% of his yards were yards
So it's
after
a 25?
contact. This time it's going to be, like, 10 to 25%.
Okay.
Like, on Monday, they're going to be like, Kamara couldn't get no yards
Yeah,
after
that's
contact.
what I'm hoping.
This man shut him down.
I like that.
I could see Demo. I'm going to say 3 sacks for Demo. Yep.
Oh, we have a lot of sacks in this
If
game.
we put all these together, that's
kinda
a
crazy.
crazy defensive
No, this
game.
is crazy. This is kind of, these are some insane hot
that
takes,
is
but that's what
funny.
makes it fun. It's cooking in the kitchen. All right. I mean, Cowboys in the kitchen. Look at me. Forgot the name. Wait, y'all didn't give me y'all's. DeMarvion Overshown.
Me and Jazz came up with one.
Yeah, so we're gonna limit his
It's
Alvin
25%.
Kamara's, yards after.
10 to
Yeah, she
25.
helped me with the percentage. I
Okay.
came up with the idea.
All right, bet.
Collaboration. Trayvon Diggs.
Ooh, I'm gonna go.
We're gonna add another pick six.
I'm gonna say another pick 6. I know. Should I do 3 interceptions and 1 pick 6? No,
That's what y'all sticking with?
I don't know. I'm thinking this. He had 1, so he's gonna do. Let's double it.
How many points y'all think the Saints,
please.
the Cowboys defense gonna give up?
3.
3?
Really?
No, okay, hold on.
I was gonna
hold on.
say
I'm
10.
be serious. I'm be serious.
I
We're
was
We're doing
saying-
bold prediction.
Bold prediction.
13.
Let's make a prediction to keep them out of the end zone because we're gonna make Derek Carr uncomfortable. We're gonna make him have to check the ball down,
Come on.
right? Like he's not gonna have a lot of time. He's gonna be like, "Oh snap, the pocket is collapsing."
Let's talk about it.
And he's gonna check all the way down, so everything's gonna be happening in the flats. They're not going anywhere, right? So I'm gonna say we keep them out of the end zone. They have to kick field goals.
That's
so
I was thinking field goals.
they
12 points.
they get 12. Yeah,
I said 13.
12 points.
All right.
I said 13.
Well,
And limit them to only 2 first downs in the first half.
I was about to say 2 first downs.
on that note, Cowboys, y'all hear us.
I don't know. We're being stupid now.
All right. Well, that was a great show, ladies. We will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. 3 p.m. Tomorrow is Friday. The Cowboys kicking off a 12 noon kickoff on Sunday. So make sure to be there, Cowboys Nation. If not, we will see y'all back here in the SWBC studio tomorrow. Bye.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this?